The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.
The Andy, Luke, and Reef football machine.
Autobots, transform! I like this kind of party!
Straight cash, homie.
Starts now.
Welcome back to Thunderdome for another Zone Coverage football machine on the Zone Coverage Podcast Network. The greatest website in the history of the internet.
I think it's undisputed at this point.
Oh, wait, the show or
We've turned our website now undisputed. Skip Bayless, come on down.
No, I love that Undisputed has turned from a sports show just to get Shannon Sharp memes out of it.
Yeah, except I think his value, like he obviously had value because he was CBS, right? But his value has to have skyrocketed if he deals with Skip and says something intelligent.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh, Yankee's here. Sorry.
Oh, is he? I'll go get Yanko.
Yeah. I'm your not so humble, Andy Carlson at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine. I have equity, more equity than Stefon Diggs getting paid on Taco Tuesday. You know how many? Or so 90-man roster. Each guy on average probably eats how many tacos? Do you think?
What kind of tacos are we talking about? Like soft tacos at Taco Bell, rusty taco, like a good sit-down Mexican?
For ease of speaking to the people, Taco Bell, soft shell taco, average player on the team. How many do you think the house? Because Ramball eats 14 at lunch. Well, that was Taco John's, but whatever.
I was going to say 12. Maybe bump it up to 16 and then 21 for Brian O'Neill.
Hey. Yeah, because... all right, we'll get into Brian O'Neill after that. But joining me in place of Arif Hassan, speaking of Rusty Taco, Arif has food poisoning. Now, I'm not saying it was our taco because maybe they'll sponsor the show. So don't want to step on those toes. But Sam Ekstrom sitting in for Arif.
I'm Arif and Luke today?
Yeah.
How do I balance this?
I don't know, but...
What's the average of Luke and Arif?
I don't know.
I guess it's me.
You have to be super analytic. You have to be a super people person. And,
Let me just tout Luke Inman here for a second. Yeah. It takes, guts when you're not regularly on the beat to approach important people and not only ask them normal press conference questions, but schmooze them. Yesterday, Luke Inman was holding court with Rick Spielman, after the normal press conference, just picking his brain. The guy is a professional BSer. Well, it's unbelievable.
They go way back like chiroprac.
Yeah.
Because I think after the draft, they had a little powwow as well. There are two great NFL draft minds. Well, one great NFL draft mind and Chris Spielman's brother.
Hey, Yinka.
Yeah, Yinka Ande coming in. Yinka, you were always dressed like a Bible salesman.
He said he wants a raise. I said he might get some Stefon Diggs money here.
Because Zone Coverage can't afford it with all the subscriptions.
We
$2.99 a month, $19.99 for the Arif Hassan Dream.
Yeah, and really quite a steal for the subscriptions and quite a no-brainer to give Yinka Yende Stefon Diggs money.
Yeah, man.
Yinka, Sexy Prince, how the hell are we?
I'm good. It's been a good day. So I'm just coming back from work and.
I love that. He's got this yellow shirt on, unbuttoned, kind of tied down. It's like formal.
Yeah.
Formal.
Yeah.
Also, working the board, Tom Schreier, T-Schreier3. What's going on?
Too much. I enjoyed our little Caspers. What do you want to call that? Get together?
Shindig, get together.
Shindig. It's nice to meet the Twitter people the nice people from Twitter.
Yeah.
It's the best part of Twitter.
I heard you forgot to reserve a table.
Oh, it's like, I know how many people are showing up.
There were a lot of, honestly, even with the rain, there was some rain. There was a lot of space in there. That was a really cool bar. I would head back down to check that out.
We didn't get to play bags, though. I was a little disappointed.
That is an incredible disappointment, to be honest with you.
See, at the Zone Coverage Summer Barbecue taking place TBD next year. There you go.
Should I do this at my place?
You should get bags indoors in a condo is a power move, by the way.
Bags. Interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Indoor bags.
Yeah.
We call that beer pong.
Well, you got to have a high vaulted ceiling in the condo, though, because I've got the arch, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
the arch.
I'm throwing it high. What's your guys' best yard game?
Ooh, that's a.
Ladder golf is pretty good for me.
Ladder golf's a fun game.
It is a lot of fun.
Bocce. I love me some bocce.
Bocce.
I'm not very
Getting
good
the
at
spin.
bocce.
I like bags. I'm inconsistent. I played this game called like Pawns or something like that, where you throw. Like there's 6 guys on each side. Cube. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know what that is. I couldn't remember the exact.
So fun.
Yeah. So you have to like knock down. You have 6 on one side. You have to knock them each down, and then you kill the king. It's great.
It's fantastic. And then there's the game. There's not really an official name for it, but my family calls it Ninja Beer Frisbee, where you have.
That sounds like a pretty official name right there.
Literally, they kill our family members. It's like, what's going on? No, what
it gets heated. You've got 2 poles.
Oh, I know that.
There's a beer attached to the top of both of them. You throw a frisbee back and forth. Try to hit the pole. If the beer falls off, points for you.
Yeah, that's. I have played that game before. It's super fun.
Ninja Beer Frisbee.
Booyaka shot. Also, hey, if you want to afford, actually no, that doesn't tie in. Doesn't matter. Sam mentioned subscribe, $19.99 a year, $2.99 a month.
Reef Go Nocturnal shirt.
A Reef's Go Nocturnal. What color is it?
You can get it in multiple colors. Actually, there's like
that doesn't
green,
make
black,
sense.
purple. Well, I mean, listen, everyone's sleep pattern is a little different.
No, nocturnal, black shirt, black printing.
You can get black.
Where you have to see it at the right angle to see a Reef's
It's
face.
glow in the dark.
Glow in the dark.
Oh God,
That'd be great.
it would be funny.
This is going to be a $50 shirt when it's done.
Probably.
It's going to be great. Yeah. So subscribe there. Also, you get the Arif's world famous training camp guide breakdown of all these guys. It's weird with no 75-man cut downs now. They're just
I like it.
Everyone's here, then they're gone.
I like it.
Yinka's an inclusive man. He's like, I don't like those first guys that have to go.
Well, I mean, it just gives you obviously the guys who get a little bit more exposure, get that extra game. Whereas, you're not going to have much of a roster change as far as that. So, those guys who are at the very, very end, those 80, 81 guys. I mean, just gives them another opportunity to not only get noticed by the NFL, but CFL or soon to be XFL.
And from a journalist standpoint, a little
AAFL.
tougher because you don't really know who was closer. Like, it's harder to differentiate between guy 55 and guy 89. So sometimes the dudes we suspect are sleepers were sometimes gone in that first round of cuts, and you're like, well, there goes my Mr. Mankato long shot out the door.
It's Mr. Egan, sir.
It's okay. The 2 favorites from last year, Rodney Adams, Bucky Hodges, did not make the team.
Bucky made it for a day, man.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
You got to give him that credit.
We discussed this.
Blake Bell terrorism robbed him.
I don't remember if you guys were on the last show when we talked about 84. Do you think that becomes like at some point you got to designate for Randy?
So I was crunching the roster yesterday.
Yeah.
I literally thought this to myself: why do they keep giving 84 out? There aren't any other possibilities. Like they've run out of numbers essentially because they can't
Have BB wear 5.
Yeah, the NFL must crack down, and I think they've also cracked down on multiple numbers, people sharing numbers, because you just don't see. And
so you're saying because wide receivers supposedly can go 11 and 19 too, right?
Right.
I mean, they commonly do, and those are all taken.
And also preseason, a lot of them were single digits. Like Weineke's 9 right now.
Yeah, but all the teens are taken.
all the legal numbers are taken.
Wow.
Yeah. And Tarkenton is retired, so
Yeah,
you can't
I
use
mean,
10 or 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, or 88. So that actually soaks up a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
84 feels like a must, though, right? There's no way that. Do you think?
It's got to happen.
No, well, we talked about last week. They should turn to what the Cowboys do with 88. Just reserve it for very special gentlemen. Except we probably would have given it to Treadball, so it was like, maybe not.
Can you imagine, like, halfway through the season, he's just 8, and you're like, is that what? What's going on here?
Why is Kirk Cousins wearing 84?
If we did have an honorary number, it would be for the Zone Coverage Twitter account. Give us a follow at Zone Coverage MN, as the Twins are in a very heated playoff race, gearing up, just loading up, going all in.
Maybe gearing up for the 2019
No, like the
playoffs.
opposite.
Yeah, no, they're still like a team. There's some like the Orioles just burnt it to the ground, but they're definitely not a team that is expecting to contend this year.
See, this would be the Twins thing: be bad at tanking, just like the Bills last year. It's like they were clearly tanking, but they went 9-7 at the playoffs.
So we were talking about this, like tanking doesn't really work in baseball. People always think the Astros did it, and that's why they're good. Or the Cubs. The Cubs had the best manager, the guy Epstein who won in Boston. the Astros were way ahead of people with analytics. Tanking doesn't really work in football, right? Unless you need a quarterback.
I would say the 2011 Colts when Peyton got hurt, and it was very clear. It's like, no, burn this mother down.
But
we'll get the number one pick.
And they made the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking did that work though? Like the Colts are still not good, right?
No, I mean the problem is like obviously it works if you can hit on an Andrew Luck, right?
Yeah.
Because you know that a quarterback will be able to usually rise above like
I think it has
future
to be for a
defense.
quarterback.
Yeah, it has to be for a quarterback. Otherwise, if your roster if quarterback is not your number one need and you have other holes to fill, tanking really doesn't help you out that much because you have to fill out probably defensive end, interior offensive lineman, all that stuff.
And the Colts are bad because they're not well run, right? They're not getting the guys in the third round like a Daniel Hunter or whatever.
They never supported that Luck pick with any good drafting in the 2 to 3 years afterward. I mean, there would be drafts where they would go wide receiver when they needed offensive line, they needed defense, and they would always go skill.
Who was the guy in Detroit who always grabbed receivers?
Matt Millen.
Yeah, how does everyone not see that and be like, that's not the strategy we want?
In fairness, on the third pull of the slot machine, he got Megatron.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, how is that not like a league-wide philosophy of don't do that?
Well, teams should be. I mean, it's two positions teams should be drafting every year: quarterback and wide receiver. Arguably, quarterback you should just be taking some small, either trying to get a small school guy or just a guy that has a lot of potential to fell. Yeah. Wide receiver, you should be drafting that definitely.
But should you be? Go ahead.
Smooth segue. Speaking of a small school guy who fell in the draft that you should take a chance on, Stefon Diggs. 5th-round pick out of third-tier Big Ten school, Maryland, inked up, long-term extension. 5 years, $72 million is the base price, up to $81 million.
Paid.
40 guaranteed. 4.5 guaranteed.
It got paid and should. That's actually the direction I was going in, though. Do you think you should take a receiver every year high? Or is this
no?
Because that's what I mean. Diggs was 5th round and Thielen undrafted,
and I wouldn't want teams to use that as their strategy because you hit on guys like Diggs and Thielen. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest, the evaluation for Diggs and Thielen was probably pretty poor going into the draft, which is why they fell so low. I mean, Thielen maybe not so much, just because he wasn't highly touted going into college, as well as, but at the same time the analytics around him was there. Obviously, he had the size and the speed that was there. He had a market share as far as being in Mankato, and he dominated at his position throughout D2. Obviously, D2 scared away a lot of people,
except for against Winona State.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, the kind of things that you look at for even guys who go to big schools like the SEC or Big Ten or whatever, a lot of those things Thielen showed that he could, play at a very, very high level. I'm not saying you take him in like the 3rd round, but a team should have considered taking him in the 6th, 7th round or whatnot. Yep. So for those smaller school guys, those are the guys that maybe you need to go into your hometown, start looking to see if there's guys you can take in those later rounds, but also looking at, again, just taking 5th, 6th, 7th round, because what are you using those picks for anyways? Maybe backup offensive lineman, maybe linebacker, maybe defensive back at times. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you should be trying to get a wide receiver really anywhere in the draft.
I've said, like, every other year you should spend a mid-round pick on a quarterback.
Sure. Just to get Kirk Cousins, right? Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But so Stefon Diggs got paid, got inked, 5 years up to $81 million. Of course, we'll find out what all those incentives are. I bet you the big one, playing 16 games. That's going to be a huge one, right?
Huge. And the Vikings, I think, needed to get this done now to sort of caution against the chance that he did play 16 this year, put up 1,200 yards, and suddenly you're going to be pushing Antonio Brown for the top wide receiver salary. But getting $14.4 million per year, I think, is probably a win for both parties. You've got a guy in Diggs who hasn't peaked yet. He's never exceeded 1,000 yards. He's been a little injury prone, but he's so much upside at age 24 that he deserved it, and the team. They pay him not a top 5 salary, it's a top 10 salary, and they stay under the cap, What do you got?
Yeah, as far as so I just looked this up because I have it saved on my phone. The sweet spot as far as where you want to hit wide receiver, 2nd or 3rd round. So consistently, if you're taking 2nd or 3rd round wide receivers, you're more than likely to hit on that position compared to other positions and whatnot.
I thought you were going to say the sweet spot to hit him is the chin, because a lot of them don't look like they have strong chins. That's what Corton Finnegan was going after.
What is the best outside of quarterback? The best position for first round, or what are they?
So as far as first round, DBs, defensive tackles, linebackers, running backs, tackles, and then tight ends. Those are the sweet spots.
Which makes sense, right? Vikings got Peterson, they got Rhodes, they got look at the guys who panned out. Anthony Barr, they're the positions you mentioned.
Yeah. So I mean, second round, you really want to be hitting on DBs, tackles, wide receivers. Third round, defensive ends, defensive tackles, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. Fourth round, defensive ends, quarterbacks, running backs, tackles. Fifth round, centers, DBs, defensive ends, D tackles.
What are you you're reading from your phone? What
I believe this was
IncaThoughts.net.
Inca's like,
I want to say this was it might be a Pro Football Focus graph.
But it makes sense, right? Everson Griffin was a fourth rounder. I kind of look at the position he's taking and thinking, what panned out for the Vikings.
But with Diggs, I know that a lot of the maybe older crowd are saying he hasn't had 1,000-yard seasons. But here's why I contend, and I use this argument with Hunter too. If Diggs had been an open market free agent this year, first 3 years in the bank, same numbers, same everything, same concerns, he would have gotten Jarvis Landry money plus.
Yeah.
Average and also larger guarantee, probably, just because of the open market.
Yeah, I definitely think that Diggs. If his primary concern was getting paid as much money, he should have just played out the year and then made $17 to $18 million because he probably could have made that much on the open market. But something that we've seen it for a while is the core of the Vikings team. They love Minnesota. They love playing for Zimmer. They love being around each other. They want to stay together, and a lot of these guys are taking a little bit less in order to stay together. Now, $14 million isn't that much. He probably could have asked for 15, and they might have given it to him. But this was more of a Viking win than it was a Stefon Diggs win, in my opinion.
Well, I think the key crux of it is the 40.5 guaranteed. Now we'll see how much of that injury guaranteed on the third day of the new league year, all these hoops. But in general, as far as guarantee go, he is currently the seventh highest in terms of wide receiver new money guaranteed, and it's $10.5 million more than Devontae Adams, even though he's a shade below in terms of average. And it's that's the number that really matters, especially since most of these contracts are toilet paper on the back end. They're not going to see those years anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any chance that they restructure Thielen like a lot of people are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year.
No. I agree with you completely, Sam, and I know a lot of people want Thielen to get paid the way that Diggs was getting paid, but I think for those of us who have said for a while that Diggs, I think, is a clear number one wide receiver. The Vikings have shown that this is not only do they look at Diggs as probably the number one wide receiver, but they're also looking at for the future. By the time Thielen's contract is up, he's going to be about 30 years old, and you're really not going to want to spend that kind of money on a guy 30 years old. Maybe he's still in his prime.
Greg Jennings' 5-year deal was great when he was 30,
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's Diggs is clearly what they look at as far as the future. So in a couple of years here, you might see another wide receiver drafted really high to
it worked out great last time,
right?
Well, the important thing is that they've aligned now where they have a lot of their offensive core locked in for 3 years. We'll have another, I think, either exodus of players or another big bumper crop of new contracts in about 3 years. But Cousins 3 more, Thielen 3 more, Diggs 5 more after this. He's locked in long term. But Cook 3 more, Elflein 3 more. You've got a lot of those key pieces for 3 years, which happens to be the length of Kirk Cousins' deal. So you've got that window open, and the defense too. Obviously Waynes comes up after next year. Mackenzie Alexander, if he is even worth keeping at that point. But most players on that defense, too, are locked in. So you've really got your core set up, with the exception of maybe a Sendejo or a Waynes. You're looking pretty good through 2020, 2021.
I think the thing with Thielen and the fact that he's making he's currently the 47th highest paid player in the league, where it's not so much, hey, Diggs is getting paid way more than him and they're on the same team. Like, there's not an ounce of ego. They're bros. They're BFFs. I don't think that's going to be a concern. But I think Thielen puts up another, like, second-team All-Pro adjacent year again. The Vikings are one of the few teams in the league where, most teams would be like, hey, you signed that contract. You honor that contract, son. Except they'll be like, Adam, you clearly have a lot of equity being here. Let's tear up these last 2 years. Let's do a new 2-year deal, some fat guaranteed money, quasi-market rate. 2-year shorter deal because of his age is working against them here. But I could see the team doing that, even if Thielen isn't the one who's stamping his foot on the brakes a la Julio.
My question, too, is are there other understandings, right? Thielen gets a job with the Vikings the day he leaves football, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know what it is, but if it's an ambassador position or he truly is like the wide receivers coach or something.
No, like kids come in, like story time, like, Grandpa, tell the story. Well, it was a $500 scholarship.
Right. I mean, I think he'll be part of the Vikings image long after he's playing. And do you know, does he have a lot of money coming in from like advertising, like sponsorships?
I don't know if he does, to be perfectly honest.
How does he
doesn't have the CenturyLink money that Diggs gets.
Yeah. I mean, just as a local guy, like I know Kemp's did Maurer forever. I'm surprised that I would think that kind of advertiser would be after him.
Well, I'm sure, like, I don't listen to the radio much, but I'm sure he's got, hi, this is Adam Thielen. Come down to this Honda place. They are great.
Yeah, definitely could see it. He could be a Honda salesman.
Well, and you have to look, too, I think, at the vastness of the roster. I think there's probably 8 or 9 other guys that might be even more marketable than Thielen.
Just
in terms of their personalities, just in terms of their longevity, with the team.
Well, I mean, to that point, because I agree. Really, I mean, I know that they play Thielen's story every single week, obviously, but that's mostly because
with inspirational music behind it.
That's because the rest of the country doesn't really know Adam Thielen, right? We know Stefon Diggs because yes, he is a little bit more flashy. He's a guy with the swag, but we get a note of Adam Thielen's story because we hear it every week and we know it, but some person in Middle California doesn't know or care.
Every new Fox and CBS and Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football crew that comes in, Adam Thielen, you may not know the story, and that's just like,
he's also someone you want them to do interviews with, right? Sitting down in the cross, right? He's just well spoken and very Minnesota.
Yeah.
So Diggs is clearly one in terms of marketable Vikings. Let's do a power ranking. Let's do a top 5. So
I think Everson's underrated.
Everson is definitely, and he's got the beard going this year. He said the beard is here
okay, we got
to stay. He said his wife loves it.
That's huge.
Until the Vikings start 0-3, and that's like, zzz.
I think the defensive line should do beards. Linval could grow a great one. Brian Robinson should grow beard and hair again. Remember, he used to have the long locks.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Daniil can grow facial hair yet, but
no. I mean, he's only 16.
He'll get there someday.
He still has his baby face.
Kirk Cousins, top 5.
Yeah,
obviously.
Have you seen some of his like small regional ads?
Didn't he do a Donald Trump impression selling a refrigerator?
I don't know, but there was one. He did one for like the Bank of Michigan, where it's so awkward and cringeworthy,
hokey.
It's funny.
He should do an esports ad or something like that. Isn't he kind of like a nerd?
He is a nerd. I don't know
if he's a video game nerd though.
Maybe he could do Star Trek. I don't know.
Yeah, I would put Harrison up there, except Harrison, like, super quiet dude. Doesn't have a ton of like salesmanship. He's just him. So the same thing with Rhodes as well.
You can do something in a plane.
Rhodes has gotten so much better.
He's starting to step in.
I think it's reflected too in the way he plays and the way he interacts with teammates and maybe the amount of trash he talks on the field. He's just confident now. It's like once he arrived, it totally opened up his personality to be more free, to be more gregarious and articulate, because he was so shy early in his career, and he's blossomed, I'd say, more than any other Viking I've covered. He's really grown into his own, and now he's one of those guys that young cornerbacks are looking up to. You've got Mike Hughes taking cues from Xavier Rhodes.
Does Mike Hughes have a personality, or is he low-key?
He's low-key.
I think Zimmer wants that. Like, that's a Zimmer thing, isn't it?
Here's the thing, though. Like, Hughes, like, on his Instagram, too, just, like, posting pictures of himself. Like, he looks like Prince. Like, he's got the look. The 1,000-yard stare look that Prince had, It's great. It's like, man, once Hughes takes off, which I think he will. I think we'll get into camp stuff. Like, I feel like Hughes is starting to turn the corner of people who are still pissed off the Vikings going to take a O-lineman at 30 because he's just good.
Yeah, but then you look at practice yesterday where at one point you had Avion Collins, Tom Compton, Nick Easton out of position, Danny Isidora, and Brian O'Neill in there.
Yep.
And
who was the first team O-line, though?
Exactly.
He goes on the third string.
I was there playing center myself.
So I think you look at cornerback and you say, man, that's a deep group. That's awesome. We're basically got two full units. You know, sometimes you've got Terrence Newman and Mackenzie Alexander, or Terrence Newman and Mike Hughes playing with the twos, and you say, wow, how does this offense ever get anything done in practice? But then you look at the O-line, and already they're struggling with continuity. Now, fortunately, last year, the preseason was the same way. Remember, Rashad Hill was out for a while. Reef was out for a while. So, and they never played together until the season started, and they were fine. So maybe the same goes this year. Word is that Mike Remmers is going to miss a couple practices. That could turn into more. They're pretty hush-hush about injuries. Pat Elflein, his ETA is unknown at this point, too. Double surgeries. So I think you still have to have a little regret about not going guard or not going tackle in that first round. That being said, though, Hughes has looked good. I would caution a little bit against platitudes for cornerbacks. I wrote a story about it this week as own coverage about how you've seen a lot of compliments in the past for Rhodes, for Waynes, for Alexander before they even play a game, and that doesn't always reflect to how the first year or the first 2 years go.
It's all right, because Holton Hill will start over him, and it'll be all good.
Where should teams take O-line? I can't remember. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Well,
Fifth-round centers.
Which position, though?
Oh, so it's broken up by position?
It's broken up by...
You got to take left tackles high.
Okay, yeah.
You have to take...
If
you're going to take a tackle... Well, I mean, you can hit in a lot of different rounds. Don't take a tackle in the third round. You could probably...
Or the fourth.
Best actually place to take a guard, 6th or 7th.
Really?
Well, it also breaks it down in terms of, like, compared to where you could... I mean, you're more than likely going to hit most positions in the first round.
They're saying it's value. It's a value bet.
Yeah.
If you take them in the 6th round, you might have a 5-to-1 chance of having them play on your team, and if you take them in the 2nd round, you might have a 3-to-1 chance.
Exactly.
So you probably have more 6th-round picks. So
I just think of like Matt Cleo, right? It was 4th overall. Is that right?
Yeah.
Looked great, Pro Bowler, right? His first year or whatever, and
at least they fleeced Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right?
And then they got the pick that they took David Yankee. Woo.
Yankee, Beavers,
Yes.
Tyrus Thompson,
God,
Travis Bond.
that feels like something they have to like a scouting.
TJ.
It seems like an organizational thing, like a.
Well,
Flemings.
I feel like O-line has been Spielman's blind spot to a degree. Now, Reef Remmers has worked out short term. Elflein looks like he's going to be the real deal, but I mean, the year that Lodeholt had the Achilles and Sully had the back.
Isn't it deja vu?
Yeah.
You've got, I mean, when Remmers went down, and I know Remmers and Hill. So your two right tackles were out. You got a flu situation. You've got an ankle situation with Remmers. And you start thinking to yourself, is this going to happen again? Are we going to have a Pittsburgh tackle who once played basketball and then converted? Is he going to again be thrown into a situation as a rookie he's not ready for?
Yep.
I'm having flashbacks.
How does O'Neal look, though?
They like the way he gets to the second level. I think he's been average. He's been fine. He hasn't done anything terrible, hasn't done anything amazing, hasn't been pancaking guys, but
that's got to be a win for him at this stage, though, right?
Yeah, hasn't been exposed.
Yep.
And considering what he's going against with a very deep defensive line group, yes, I'd say that's a victory. Got to get him in a game, though. You really got to get him in a game before you know for sure.
Give me the MVP so far.
Probably Diggs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an easy cliche answer, but he makes a splash play a day. I'm trying to think of someone maybe off the beaten path a little bit.
Tayshaun Bauer.
I don't know about Bauer. I mean, I'd say.
What about Trey Waynes? I've been hearing a lot of good things out of.
Yeah, Waynes has been solid. I'd say at corner, Alexander has looked good.
That's good to hear.
I have a hard time making training camp blanket statements, but that's the point of this hour, so let's do it.
given the Vikings' plethora of depth, and plus yet Horace Richardson looking pretty decent as well, at a certain point with the O-line, do they like a team makes an offer on one of the cornerbacks, probably Mac? Do you think that they would pull the trigger?
It really, in my opinion, it really depends on how the season's going, right? Because, I mean, it was a couple years ago when we pulled the trigger on Nick Easton, and that was like really late in the season.
That was right at the deadline for Gerald Hodges.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I like Gerald Hodges, but I could see them. I actually could even see them if they can get a higher quality guy or even a higher pick. Trey Waynes could potentially be, in my opinion, on the trading block. But
would you trade Trey Waynes for Forrest Lamp right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I probably would too.
I would.
Yeah.
Because I really believe I'm confident in Mackenzie Alexander's ability to slide outside. I'm also really confident in Mike Hughes' ability to play outside. You're going to have growing pains, but I think Zimmer can scheme his way to covering up some of those weaknesses, whereas it's going to be very challenging to DeFilippo is going to have a lot of work to do, considering he has never called plays, and then on top of that, he's trying to bring out the strengths of Kirk Cousins as well as mask a lot of those weaknesses of that offensive line. And this is the worst offensive line Kirk Cousins have ever played with in his career.
He did call plays in Cleveland 2015.
Oh, yep. There we go.
Barnkowski. Bring it on, baby.
Yeah. I'll push back on you a little bit too, Yankee, on Waynes. I think when you've got one weakness on a defense, I think the whole thing can blow up. And we've seen it with Waynes. 2 years ago when he was still coming into his own, he got targeted a lot. Think about that Green Bay game to open up US Bank Stadium before he had the game-clinching interception, ironically. He got exposed there against the Saints when they had Alexander on the field. Alexander got exposed. Good quarterbacks know how to pick a guy apart. So I don't think you give up your sort of established outside corner. I would call Waynes established at this point.
He is.
3 years into this thing. You don't know what you have in Alexander yet. Now, he put up good PFF numbers in limited snaps in the slot last year. That doesn't prove what he can do outside. Hughes is not the finished product yet. I mean, we've seen with Zimmer, his corners take at least a year. And then Holton Hill, same deal. I just don't think you want to potentially expose yourself on the outside until you see that Mac is ready. And Mac has said that he's ready to be the inside guy. I'm not sure that he's prepared to go outside right now because he's accepted that nickel role, And then, I understand that. And he's not definitely a guy I want to put full-time outside, but you still have a safety blanket in Terrence Newman, who I don't think arguably where he's going to be at this season. I mean, is he going to play? Is he going to play that nickel role? Is he going to play some safeties? Is he going to be some of that backup outside guy? So you have options. I know they're not obviously ideal, and maybe DeFilippo can find a way to make it all mesh. I'm just a little bit worried about where this offense is going to be. New system, really don't have any kind of continuity yet as far as the offensive line, new quarterback, but with great wide receiver options. So I don't think that's going to be a huge concern. It's just, is it going to start to click, in week 3? Or is it going to start to click in week 8? And you need it to click early because of that schedule.
Yep.
San Fran, Green Bay, LA, Philly, New Orleans, but all before the bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get that W against Buffalo for sure.
Yeah.
I hope. That's the hope.
Nothing is certain.
Speaking of always getting W's, you always get the win when you go to My Burger, because family owned and obsessed over and awesome since 2004 right here in this market. They got 5 locations: Stadium Village, Richfield, Calhoun, Skyway, Minneapolis, of course, Mac, Groveland, brand new one in good old St. Paul. Like we said, family-owned burgers made fresh. They just taste better. It's kind of odd how that works. Plus, hand-dipped malts and also great local craft beer, because hit that up. So get to the locations or order online, myburgerusa.com. And if you become a zonecoverage.com subscriber, $19.99 a month, you get a card for a free My Burger. So win-win. You get the subscription, get all the great content, you get a Reef Training Camp guide, and you get a burger shoved in your face. That's delicious. Like, we should charge more. Charge more.
Should we?
No.
No,
we're good. MyBurgerUSA.com. So continuing on with the awards, who's been the most improved since last year?
Most improved. Should I have taken notes for this show? I probably should have, huh?
Now we're a spitballing show. I mean, come on, Sam.
We're spitballing?
Yeah.
Most improved. I think Ifeadi Odenigbo has shown me a lot of good things moving inside.
Yep.
He started as a defensive end, if you recall. They've moved him inside since the spring. It seems like that's a permanent switch. I think Odenigbo is going to make a push to make this roster. I did not have him on it. I thought that he was going to get beaten out. But again, they don't have a ton of depth inside. David Perry hasn't impressed me a whole lot. He is the most bowling ball-ish figure
of his career
I've ever seen.
He's Will Sutton 2.0.
He will floor you when you see him tomorrow in person. He is so rotund. But
not rotund.
Rotund.
I think they've got a keeper in Odenigbo, and hopefully if he doesn't make the roster, they can sneak him on the practice squad.
So when David Perry was with the Colts, did he look like that kid from Willy Wonka who ate the blueberry?
Actually, that's a perfect,
Bam.
yeah, or the Harry Potter where they blow up the aunt.
Yep.
Now, Sam, what you and Kirk Cousins talk about in your private time is between you guys, nerding out Harry Potter and what's
Voldemort? I don't know.
No, like what's he always talk? Oh, Lord of the Rings. He's talking about during games when he's mic'd up.
Oh
Yeah, the Shire, Mount Doom.
Washington fans are kind of glad that he's gone.
Yeah, they're definitely very salty, which is surprising.
It's so weird how one team's trash is another team's treasure because, like, Chiefs fans, I mean, they were sort of done with Alex Smith, plus they had Pat Mahomes, but Washington is like, he's our guy.
Did Chiefs fans really feel like the reason why they weren't, like, I guess, getting further was Alex Smith?
I think so, except it's misplaced.
Yeah, it's definitely misplaced. Yeah. I never thought that the.
I feel like you're kind of angry average fan.
Is always mad at the quarterback.
The quote unquote the best player, and usually the quarterback.
Like, do you know how excited some Denver fans are to have Keenum?
Yeah,
they're gonna be so.
Bring back Tebow.
It's because they had to live with Simeon.
Yeah. Well, see, I contest that Trevor Simeon has never gotten a fair shot with a legit NFL team. Shade.
Fair.
That's okay. Comeback player. Comeback player of the camp.
Cook.
Yeah.
He's looked really good.
Oh, yeah.
He's looked normal. I shouldn't say he's looked really good. It's impossible for a running back to look good when you can't physically be tackled. But he has looked like a normal running back. He's not encumbered by a brace. He's caught passes in the left flat and cut off his left knee and looked normal doing it with his accelerations. He's bouncy. He's shifty. He kind of rolls downhill with ease. I like the way he's looked. Yinka, I know you haven't taken any in yet, but who do you like as a comeback candidate? Who do you want to see bounce back this year?
Mac.
Well, outside of Cook, I actually, on Twitter, I put this guy as my rebound, and I got some flack for it, but I actually said Kirk Cousins.
That's such a Yinka take.
Wait, 2 months in, Kirk Cousins is a fraud. My column. Print.
No, Patrick Royce already wrote that. Patrick Royce already got him.
So the thing is with Kirk Cousins is his 2015 and 2016 seasons were absolutely phenomenal. I think he showed to be a top 10 quarterback. But the issue with that when 2017 hit is obviously he lost a lot of the things that went right. He had some O-line injuries. He had some wide receiver injuries. Josh Doxson, who really was supposed to be the guy that they were kind of hoping could be a core part of their offense, has been banged up ever since being drafted. Not having Deshaun Jackson, obviously, as well, too.
Prime Deshaun Jackson.
You're prime Deshaun Jackson. So he I guess you put in quotation marks, he regressed a little bit compared to what he was in the prior 2 seasons. So I do really want to see him go back to that. He doesn't have everything that's going to work around him this time around. Really, the offensive line, I'm still quite worried about it. But he does have a top 5 defense. I mean, even the Vikings defense take a step back. I don't really see them being outside of being a top 5 defense. You have arguably the best wide receiver tandem in the league, which, in my opinion, will make up for a lot of those deficiencies on the offensive line. You have Dalvin Cook, who I think still needs to improve as a pass catcher, but obviously can take some pressure off of Kirk Cousins. So I am really looking for him to really succeed in those areas that he has already succeeded in. So that's kind of my comeback guy just for the Vikings.
I think Treadwell should probably get some love as well.
Yeah.
A lot of good words about him so far. DiFilippo said he's really proud of how he's matured. Even though DiFilippo hasn't been around the previous 2 years, I think he's got a good vibe from him, and they really loved him in the red zone during red zone offense the other day. He had a really impressive touchdown that I put out on Twitter, and I guess and people were saying, "Oh, trade him to Arizona, see what you can get," or Xavier Rhodes has declined clearly. So take it for what it's worth. But he has, I think, looked a little better with pads on, which is good. It means he's showing his physicality. He's willing to embrace that press coverage, and I think there's still an issue with him creating separation, which has been his kryptonite all along. But if he can just be a red zone threat, that'd be really, really nice to have for Cousins.
And with that, I've kind of, just because it becomes a conversation, I definitely feel like we have to, I don't want to say give up, but I think as far as Treadwell's game, separation is never going to be a thing that he is going to drastically improve on. So with that, I definitely want to focus on more of like the technical aspect of how can he become a wide receiver that no matter what, his quarterback can trust to throw into those tight windows.
Larry Fitz.
Yeah. I mean,
nuking it.
Exactly. To constantly be a guy, it's like you're not going to get very many separation, but you're going to be a guy who, if you can at least create enough space where a quarterback can trust, like, yeah, if I'm going to throw it up, you're going to go get it. Not the 50-50 ball, but really like there were some catches last season that Treadwell made that Keenum threw was like, is he gonna get to it? And he made the play. So focusing on that so he can, like you said, really become that red zone threat, because the Vikings did well with that with Diggs and Thielen, but to have another weapon that they can really rely on would be phenomenal for them.
You guys play a lot of like pickup basketball, right?
Oh yeah.
So big difference between a guy who's like 6'3", can jump 38 inches, and just a gifted physical athlete, right? Guys like Treadwell are like that stubby, fat, 5'10" power forward who can just get it done because he's got great fundamentals, great at boxing out. He hustles. He gets you with the shimmy and like the head fake, where he doesn't have physical tools, but he has all these little nuances of the position down to succeed. And Treadwell still has to pick up on a couple of those.
You know the guy's talking about, right? Like the way better handles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm just dude, what with this dude?
Yeah. You're like, why did you pick up basketball?
He's got the kinetic tape on both knees. He takes a smoke break in between runs.
That's the guy who, when you say shirts or skins, he volunteers to be skins.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
And he takes the shirt off and he's still wearing a shirt. If you know what I mean. Who's been the worst? Let's go negative. Who's been bad?
Jonathan Wynn. Actually, there's one number that they duplicate, number 78.
Yeah.
Both 78s have been abysmal. Jonathan Wynn and Diego Joseph, I think is how you pronounce it.
Diego, yep.
Have both been, I think they're 89 and 90. Actually, Kai Forbath is 90. There's 88 and 89.
What?
He hasn't been around very much, but I think it's becoming an issue because he needs to get on the field. But Stacey Coley, I think he needs to show up on the field very, very soon.
Yeah, he's my guy. He's just kicking me in the nuts right now. Just because of his nuts, yeah.
So you said Kai Forbath has been really bad.
No, I should probably clarify that. I just think he's a dead man walking. Carlson has literally done nothing to create any tension or concern.
I heard he was struggling with 30.
No.
Is that a rumor or whatever?
No. Well, I think Eric Thompson put out a video of him clanking one during individuals, which is different than teamwork. I think it's graded a little differently, but he has been almost perfect in camp during 11-on-11 kicks.
Because someone was freaking out. They were like, wide left. Where have I seen that?
Reef actually brought up a good point on that. It's like that actually might have been a drill where they're trying to hit the post.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why would that be a drill, though?
Because, hey, you're a kicker. You're going to get bored. I bet you I can hit the right upright. Or I bet you $20.
They should like swing fans
that'd be
or something.
20, that'd be $20, Quigley. Pay up.
Prefer has been doing his darndest to make this appear close.
Yeah.
I'm seeing. It's so easy to see through, though, because we're watching it with our eyes. We know how the team operates. Like, we know that this is them trying to, make sure a guy doesn't decline when you don't really have a backup plan.
I mean,
but it's like it's not doing a service to Forbath at all.
So most guys, be in another team's camp.
Yeah,
right now.
most guys. You cut him at the end of June, right?
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. So what is at this point? What is the optimal? Is if you're Kai Forbath, do you want to get cut right now to end up somewhere else, or do
Yes.
you?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to cut me now so then I can go get on a team.
They signed Forbath to a 1-year deal, nothing guaranteed, and then they traded up and drafted Carlson. It's like, if I'm Kyle Forbath, like, dude, I want out, because Spielman is a guy who kept Moritz Boehringer around for 2 years. Kept Willie Beavers around for 2 years. Like, he's a little stubborn, right?
What is Momo doing?
He's a tight end for the Bengals.
Tight ends for the Bengals.
And if you trade up for a kicker in the 5th round and you have to cut him for the guy you already had, that's an embarrassment.
What was the name of the guy with Tampa Bay who during
Roberto
Oh, you're talking Aguayo.
Do you remember that?
Second round
Birdie.
pick.
You're like, what? On your list. Where did kickers go?
Not in the second round.
Yeah, not in the second round.
Traded up, 2nd round was terrible.
Oh, they don't even have him on the list.
And they kept him for a year and change.
I just remember that Hard Knocks. The guy's like so flabbergasted. And you're like, how do you not know you're getting cut, dude? Like,
Jesus.
it didn't even look like a kick, like end over end. It was like this knuckleball.
That's called the yips.
Who else has stood out to you, like good, bad, or otherwise, Sam?
I think Kendricks has had a good camp.
As far as camp is always tough for linebackers and cornerbacks.
Yeah. No, Kendricks he's been good in goal line. Andrew Sendejo has been really physical, especially in goal line.
Yep.
Sendejo's he doesn't care. He's just flying in. He's a human missile, and I think he's going to struggle with.
Were you going to suspend me from practice?
He's going to be one of the guys to get a lowering the helmet call. I'm almost positive.
Yeah. Actually, they may have to call it the Sendejo rule, because I think he's going to be. It'll be him or DJ Swearinger who gets popped first.
Yeah, maybe Josh Norman. We're just naming hotheads now.
It's possible. I love that DJ Swearinger is a captain in Washington. It's like, did you see what happened in Houston? Whatever.
Okay, here's one. Now that I'm developing my thoughts on this, Caleb Jones has been by far the best of the non-lock receivers.
That hurts.
It's really not even close.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, do you keep 6 for the first 4 weeks and give a guy like Brendan Zylstra a chance, who's been probably right beneath Jones in the non-locks? Or do you just keep 5 for the time being? Maybe you need a little more offensive line depth because of some injuries. You bring 10 offensive linemen to your 53-man roster, and then exchange linemen for Jones in week 5. Because Jones has been the real item. He has been fantastic.
Schematically, I want to say they'll do 5, and not just also for the offensive linemen, but I also think maybe tight end will be a huge factor into that. I don't know if they're going to keep 4 tight ends, if they're going to keep 3. Yeah, you have some tug and pull there as far as what you want to do, because the other thing to think about is how many defensive backs do they want to keep, how many defensive linemen do they want to keep. I would love if they kept 10 offensive linemen, to be honest, because I don't have very much confidence in it.
But Yanka, they always keep 9 on the 53. How dare they go against type, because they don't know who's good?
Was it 2015? I thought they kept 10 in 2015.
No, I've looked back. It's always been 9, but they've been bottom of the roster shifting around happens all the time.
So I don't know. Maybe they do keep just 5 and then keep an extra off the line, or just go with 6, and then you still have who's coming back from suspension?
Kentrell Brothers.
With getting rid of the 75-man cutdowns, getting suspended is a great way to
ensure that you're going to make sure you're going to stay.
It's a no-risk proposition. Like, if you're suspended and they cut you on last cutdowns, don't just hang on to your rights. That means you're bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
And Kentrell has a bunch of UDFAs in front of him, too. I mean, he's really got the easy path back, because they could keep a Garrett Dooley for 4 weeks or a Richard Clayette, but you're obviously going to hold on to Brothers over someone like that.
Yeah. RB3 spot.
Mike Boone.
Yep. All day.
Yeah.
Mike Boone
Mac Brown.
by, I'd say, head and shoulders above.
Yep.
I've been down on Mac Brown. He hasn't done anything, college or pro in his
Well, now
career.
you sound like every NFL draft scout.
Yeah, I mean, he coached at Texas for a while. He's probably kind of worn out.
But don't you need a sound effect for that, man? You're the producer. No, I mean, Mac, I think it's already been passed on the depth chart by Mike, and Rock Thomas might be second to Mike.
How does
Mike
that
Boone.
guy not become a legend?
Rock Thomas.
Rock Thomas.
He has to, right?
He has to.
Well,
He'll find a home.
Well,
On
given
name
the
alone.
Vikings' history of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and Matrone, the MMA fighter, the chances that one of these guys getting cut are going to
Forgot
be
about Roman Reigns.
another like combat sport. That's going to be great. Also, Ray Edwards, come on, boxing. Tin can.
Sugar Ray.
Babatunde Agbusi.
Oh, yeah.
What-
He's in
what-
like
what
a
is he
WWE
doing?
minor league or something
He's
like that.
He's in like is it UFC or is it
No,
WWE or
it's pro
something?
wrestling,
Yeah,
like
pro
one of the
wrestling.
lower leagues.
Yeah.
Random tangent. So I know this fight happened like 6 months ago, but I saw the entire fight of Greg Hardy versus Austin Lane, who is also a former NFL player, played with like the Jaguars and stuff like that. Austin Lane is so bad and Greg Hardy just average. That Greg Hardy just ragdolled him. Like it was like a UFC fight. It was like one of those UFC fight night things. It was bad. It's like, Austin, you know this guy is a striker. Sorry, pun intended. And he just completely opened himself up for a huge right hook. Just completely left open and he hit him right on the jaw. It's just like, this sucks. This is terrible. Because Greg Hardy is going to make it to UFC proper, and he's going to be a headliner fight, and everything is bad.
Has there ever been a really lopsided on-field sports fight? Nolan Ryan. When Nolan Ryan killed the guy.
Robin Ventura.
I'm trying to think of other where someone just.
We're saying
got-
non-hockey division, right?
Yeah, let's
Because
leave
it happens
out
in
of
hockey
it.
a little
Yeah.
bit. Where someone just gets wailed on.
Oh,
Tom Janovich didn't.
yeah, Kermit Washington. Rudy
Oh,
T.
God. Kermit Washington, by the way, I think in jail for like fraud right now.
Really? I think he serve some time for that punch too. He definitely got suspended.
He might have. I'm trying to remember baseball fights are weird because it tends to be everyone just congregating like in the middle of the field. They're pretty worthless.
People on the sideline.
Rougned Odor and Jose
Oh,
Batista.
great call. Great call.
We can never forget about Andre Johnson and Cortland Finney.
That was so
What
great.
about Brad
Phenomenal.
Childress and Troy Williamson? When was that? When did that happen?
Percy Harvin, I thought.
I thought Troy Williamson called him out too.
Yeah, he might have.
Probably.
Yeah.
Who didn't with Chili?
Yeah.
Chili Willie.
Yeah. Good times. Let's see. Anything else here on the... Oh. So, Tayshaun Bauer, sounds like he's been popping a little bit. What are they doing with Jalen Holmes?
Holmes is 3-tech.
Yeah.
Yep. He's had he missed 2 weeks of OTAs, and I believe that maybe one OTA in mandatory minicamp because he broke his hand, so he's had a wrap on the hand. That's probably that's gonna hurt your punch a little bit. That's gonna hurt your get off. But he's got an it factor that is sort of intangible. He carries himself confidently.
Yeah.
He's got an NFL body already. He doesn't really need to change it at all. He's got a good first step. They're trying to find that explosive character that they haven't had since Sharif Floyd. I mean, I was watching back some of the Blair Walsh game in the playoffs 3 years ago. Sharif Floyd was making some plays, and
Sharif.
that's what they expected to get back 2 years ago, and it never happened.
Oh, the Blair Walsh game where he scored all 9 of the Vikings points, including 2 40-yarders. In the
Real
goal.
quick.
Is that
And
one?
by the way, and Jeff Locke got the laces around on like none of those kicks, not just the one he missed, like the ones he made too.
Laces out, lock. That draft was Sharif Floyd, Cordero Patterson, Xavier Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
2013.
Which could have potentially been a phenomenal draft. Do you see now Cordero Patterson's back, right, with New England, and New England was the team that the Vikings traded 3 picks to get up, get that pick.
Mm-hmm.
You see that he said something on like Good Morning Football, like really innocuous. It's not like they want to bring out the best me or something like that, and he claims Belichick told him that, and Belichick made him walk it back because Belichick didn't actually tell him that. Like, how ridiculous is that situation?
That's on brand for Cordero. Seems like
right. Except it was like it was a nothingness. It was like, of course, he's trying to get the best of you.
It's a diet version of Matt Khalil last year. They're demanding excellence of me now. Finally. Speaking of which, did you guys see that clip of him in practice against
and he just
Mario Addison,
and it just
He got beat.
This dude was picked 4th overall.
It looked like
poor Cam Newton.
No, right?
Honestly, it looked like the rep where Everson went against Babs, that one year in camp, where just untouched.
Oh my God!
Something called Mario Addison just.
Babs wasn't getting his hands on him in one-on-ones.
Yeah. Which is tough to do.
Just put it out.
Just breathe.
Matt Khalil, he wants to be like a tight end, doesn't he, or something like that? Why don't you just give in?
Matt Khalil doesn't want to play football.
He doesn't want to play football.
Why is he still in the league?
Because he was born 6'5", 310, and dad and big brother love
what
football.
else are you going to do?
You got money.
Yeah, but he has money. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but he's getting more of it.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's like, what is he going to do for 10 hours out of the day?
Pizza, baby.
Well, he already has that.
That Mankato location is struggling. That's okay.
Biology, baby.
Yeah. Wrapping up hour one. Give me your guys after 1 week surprise cut and surprise make. And hold on, I'll let you think about it. So it always bothers me, like if you get asked on Twitter, give me your surprise cut, and then I say something like Rashad Hill, and they're like, that seems unlikely. I was like, what do you want? What do you want me to say?
Yeah, it's back, baby. That's all Matt Khalil had to do.
Right.
Surprise cut. Antoine Williams. Ooh, really going on a little bit.
Antoine Winfield.
Yeah. All right. Who you guys got for a surprise cut?
I've said it a few weeks ago. Terrence Newman. I could see him getting cut. Just
no respect for your elders.
I know, right?
Just have him convert his salary into an assistant DB coach. He'd probably get paid more than Jerry Gray, but whatever. It'll work out.
Yeah, I could see him getting cut. I mean, the DB core is very, very deep. I mean, you have a lot of young guys coming up, and he's still a really good player at 40, but
he still gets ID'd, right? If he goes go get booze. He kind of looks young for like an old guy.
He does look really young, especially like he doesn't really have very much facial hair.
Yeah.
So that's my surprise.
Sam, how about you?
I would give 3 candidates. I'd say Jaron Kearse, maybe get replaced by Trey Matthews.
But he's so tall, he's George Loka.
The UDFA. I would say Colby Gossett. I don't know if that's surprising to people. That might be surprising to people who are follow it really closely because he was that 6th round guard out of Appalachian State. Yep. And I just think there's a lot of bodies in there. They might try to sneak him on practice squad first year. And Marcus Sherrill's vulnerable.
First Teddy and now Sherrill's.
But Sam, didn't you see that Prefer said he's going to begin as punt returner?
So Mike Hughes would take his, right?
Mike Hughes would. And the more I watch, and I'm putting it out there because I think it's possible. I don't think it's better than 50-50. I think it's maybe 30%. But he's definitely vulnerable. Like last year, his chief competition was Rodney Adams, and Rodney Adams couldn't catch a punt. He looked like that Patriots lineman.
That was amazing, though.
Isaiah Wynn.
That was so amazing.
That's how Rodney Adams looked in his attempts. Mike Hughes knows what he's doing.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when Dan Connolly got that kick return against the Packers, and he almost took it to the house.
Yeah, that was fun.
He's carrying that thing like a loaf of bread.
All-time great football moment.
Yeah. My surprise cut, Curse is a good one. I might go Kyle Sluter.
Boo.
Where in just the effort to save a roster spot, you got Cousins, Simeon's a rock-solid backup. And
you think try to slide him on to the practice squad?
But I bet he will get poached by the Giants.
He'll definitely get poached if you let him go.
Yep. Surprise make. How about go there? Trey Matthews is a great one.
Thanks. I'll go somewhere else because since I already mentioned it. I think you got to look at linebacker. I'm going to go with Brett Taylor. And he wasn't UDFA initially. He was tryout.
Yeah.
Brett Taylor.
Of course, we know, watch out for the UDFA tryout guys because they've already passed the bar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Arif has written a very good article about why these guys have a greater likelihood to make it than your typical UDFA. He's got the numbers, the analytics for you. Feel better, Arif. But Brett Taylor is one of those really obedient, teachable guys. He does exactly what you say. He's not going to, lip off. He's intelligent. He's kind of your stereotypical blue collar linebacker. I've had a good chat with him, and he actually used to live with Jake Winicky. And the funny thing is that because he knows Winicky so well, whenever Winicky catches something over the middle, Taylor blasts him. He actually pushes him to the ground, and the coaches get mad at him, but he's done it multiple times, which is kind of hilarious. But I'm going to go with Brett Taylor.
Yinka?
Just because I like him from an analytical standpoint, I could see Ade Aruna maybe sneaking on. Just being a guy that they like his athleticism, and maybe have some defensive end flexibility, as well as I know maybe move him inside the interior and whatnot. I'm really looking forward to what they do on third down packages. You've seen Barr's hand in the dirt. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Ade Aruna.
I'll toss 3 out there. I like Corey Robertson, thick UDFA from Southern Miss.
2 C's.
I'll spoil your party. He does not look good.
I don't care.
He is.
I don't care.
Thick with 2 C's though.
It's not Mike
early.
Vick. He's not back.
No. I like Ifeadi Odenigbo. Second, Northwestern.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris Thomason's favorite.
Yeah, coming on in. Have him and Simeon talked about the greatness of Northwestern football yet?
Yes.
Hey, Trevor, talk about Pat Fitzgerald, how great he is. Go.
Apparently, he told Simeon, I guess Thomason went to a game 2 or 3 years ago, and he was underneath the goalposts as the game-winning field goal went through, and he and Simeon bonded over that moment.
Hey. Sweet.
Yeah.
My last one, Horace Richardson, SMU.
That would be a stunner, but I love it.
Ponies.
I love it, because then you're saying no Hill and maybe a Newman cut.
No, they'll carry 17 cornerbacks. Zimmer finally has control, and he's good to go. Yeah. All right, so we'll dive into hour 2. Open up the phone lines. We got a bunch of Twitter questions as well. Oh, we're going to talk about Randy Moss. It's going to be a good time. Show's available on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, zonecoverage.com/machine. But for not Luke and not Reef, but Sam and also Yinka, Tom working behind the glass. I'm Andy Carlson and Young Steiner. Bye. Let's hour 2.